Yep. Whenever you're ready, David.
Okay, thank you. This is the June 2nd meeting of the Stage 4 Park Committee on Zoom. And I am as usual with David Benjamin at his house. And I must now read a statement required by rules and regulations on Zoom and everything else. So this statement I am about to read goes as follows. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law pursuant to section 20 of chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the committee, Stage 4 Park Committee, during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. If you're calling in on a phone, you may press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or device that is a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during the committee to be recognized to speak. So I now need to do a roll call of all of those. I'll start with David Benjamin.
Here.
David Dow here. Craig Anderson? No. Craig Anderson, no. Steve Katie, yes.
Yes.
Jamie Marshall.
I'm here, David.
Oh, good to you. Adrian Sweet.
Here.
Sean Nolan.
Sean Nolan. Sean Nolan here?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay, you all are welcome. Thank you for participating. So, let me see.
Secretary's report will be next, right?
The secretary's report.
Okay, believe it or not, we're still trying to accept the minutes from the January 6th meeting. We've had several attempts to have a Zoom meeting since then, and unfortunately, things haven't gone our way every time. I believe the last meeting we had, we got as far as reviewing the minutes, but we're not able to hold a vote. So you all have a copy of the draft or have seen a copy of the draft. And could we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Please,
Anybody's fine. So
Sure.
that was Steve making the motion.
somebody second, please.
I seconded.
Thank
Okay,
you, thank you.
Adrian, second.
So moved.
And any discussion, any corrections, additions, edits? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and an abstain. Motion, minutes passed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm asking for public comments. Is there anyone out there that would like to make a public comment? You got to push your right.
Barry, Pat, you have to push your thing.
Is it okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I had just mentioned, I had texted to you, Mark, that for whatever reason, the meeting hadn't started, and as soon as I sent that text, it came on. So I don't have any comments other than I'm happy that we're able to have a meeting and to participate.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Appreciate that. Anyone else for public comments? Okay, the public comment period has ended.
All right, now you go to new business.
New business. First on new business is new project proposal. What I was referring to back in January is that now we're well underway for getting this other work done. I'm thinking about moving forward with that grand plan that we had a while back, a year or two ago with Steve Winslow. So I think that's our next project to capture. That's assuming that we will get through the present project of the extension of the Lucy Davis, the Welcoming Center pathway, and the fort restoration. So that's what the new project proposal is all right to go. But that's about all I had to say with that. The second item on that is David and I had a meeting with the mayor's office with Joe Cahill, the mayor, Mike Hale. I think that was maybe back in January. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
January, where we presented, and I think you all got copies of that from David. So we presented that. We had some comments going back and forth. The mayor and Joe talked about everything and said that they would get back to us. And at this point, they have not got back to us on any of that discussion or changes that they were considering. So that's where we are on that. The third thing under new business is the Canon protocol, as it's been called. Craig Anderson's name is on there, but one of the problems we were having, and if you all remember last year when we tried to get ready to fire the cannon for the schooner races, there was a big problem with insurance. The problem being that I was firing a cannon that belonged to the city, and insurance was needed, and we went down to the last minute of the day before we had an insurance commitment. And the city cannot provide that, by the way. They said they could, but they cannot. So what's happened since then is I haven't been out, but I have arranged to get the insurance that's required by me. So if somebody is hurt or I'm hurt or whatever, the city is covered as well as I am covered. So that's being worked out right now. The legal people in the law office have all the information they need. They just simply have to say, okay, and I will secure that insurance. They'll carry us for 1 year.
David, is that a rider onto another policy or a 1-day rider or a day as needed?
At the Schooner Festival, it was a 1-day rider that I had agreed to put together with Gove and Feldman Insurance. And at the last minute, Cape Ann Savings Bank come forward and said they would pay for it. And that was for 1-day firing, which was the day of the schooner race.
Right.
This insurance is for 12 months. And it covers me and 3 members of my crew to fire the cannon. I begin the licensed firing person. The city has a, for lack of a better word, a piggyback to that. So they are also covered extra by the insurance that I'm getting. And I guess this is very common in the insurance business where they're on my back. So it costs another $104. The whole thing comes to $955 and change.
Would it be less expensive if you were to do it per day as you needed?
To the best of my knowledge, the insurance underwriters said they would be willing to do this for 12 months for this price. So I said, sounds good to me. So that's where we are. Whether certainly not an insurance person, but Calvin has put this thing together, which they think is a really, really fair price, understanding that I think the last minute price or cost that Cape Ann Savings Bank paid for last year for that one-time firing was $800.
Oh,
So I think we got a pretty
Yeah, I
good
think
deal.
$900 for the year is a good price.
Yeah, right. So anyways, whatever happens during the next year, we will be covered by insurance, and that should not be a problem. And as part of that, Rockport requested that we display the Parrot rifle at a kids EMS day that they had 2 weeks ago. They wanted us to display that new cannon down during the EMS day, but just kids to have something fun to look at or whatever. So I agreed to do that for Rockport. We were going to transport it down there, stuff with Max Ramsey, but I obviously had to ask permission from the city. I had Rockport contact the city and specifically asked, tell them what they were doing and asking me to do it. And there was no reply whatsoever from the city. So we did not do that. So if we had, the insurance would have covered that. Okay, so
David, does that also include transportation if anything happens while it's in transit?
yes, yeah. The way I understand it, I'm in charge of the cannon for that day. And I think it includes 3 members of the firing crew, if you so to speak. So if I have 3 people with me to count 4, and I invited you to come pull the cord to fire it, one of us would just simply step aside and let you pull the cord. Right? So I don't think we have a problem with that, but they haven't got back to me yet. I presented that in person and in writing to the city's paralegal, who did the paperwork and the discussions on that last year. So she's very familiar with that. They have that, but until we have that, we cannot fire the cannon or even move it.
Okay,
That's
David,
where we are on the insurance end.
Can I just jump in for a second for it?
I'm not
David?
sure if you can, Barry. You're not a participant.
Okay,
You were supposed to, just be limited to public comments.
okay, all right.
I think that's
Just trying to
part,
get-
I think,
Just trying to
Barry, I
get
think
information.
that's part of the rules on this Zoom thing.
Okay, I was just trying to give you some information about your insurance, that's all. No
Okay,
problem.
So, the other part of the canon protocol that I don't have is Craig was going to be talking with the city regarding who calls who to get, for instance, who in Rockport, who calls who to get to use our cannon. And that hasn't gone any further. I was contacted by a girl in Rockport, name escapes me now. Whatever. I was contacted directly, and I then forwarded that request to the mayor's office, and I asked them to contact the mayor's office that you would talk to me, and we need their permission, and I heard no one back. So the protocol for someone requesting that they use our cannon for whatever reason has not been finalized. Except somebody will call me, I guess, and I'll call other people. So that's how we are now. So any questions on that anybody might have? We'll move on to old business.
David, I think there's a couple. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
Adrian, sweet, I'll let the lady go first if she would like, and then I have a
Oh, the
question.
hands are up. See? Yeah, that's okay. We just noticed the hands are up.
Yes,
Adrian?
thanks. Yeah, so you really rushed through this new business. You said there's new project where can I find the new project? I have no idea what that means. And
Oh,
I'd like
sure,
more
yeah.
information on it. And then you said there's a report of the mayor's meeting, and you said, as you all know, I have no idea. I do
Oh,
not
you're
know.
gonna, yeah.
I
You'll
just
need
really
that.
I'm looking around online and I don't see minutes from anything. I have like a very vague agenda.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to know what the new project proposal is. And
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if Jamie had something quick he wanted to add regarding the whole
Yeah.
Canon
Okay.
insurance. I know he did have his hand up first, and I don't want to backtrack too much, but I do
We
need a little
can
background
deal with your
information.
questions first, actually, and then we'll go to Jamie.
Sure. Thanks,
Um,
Jamie.
I can send you a copy of the email, which was a report on the mayor's meeting. Basically, we met with the mayor with a big list of concerns around the city's ability to communicate with us and our needs as a committee and towards the park and our, the committee's agenda. And the meeting was called by the mayor because the mayor felt when he took office and saw what kind of shape all these different committees were in around town, he didn't think ours was fully staffed. He didn't understand the language around what made up how the members of the committee, who they were representing, like Little League, Dog Park, all these.
Yeah,
All these
I will
different
say
committees.
I did try to join this committee during Safathia, and I haven't been able to, and they said they were dismantling the committee, and that's why I wasn't able to get on it. So I guess there was a change of heart because I got the call saying I was accepted onto the committee.
Well,
So
we
it
had
has been-
we had an abutter Mr. Farnville was on the committee as an abutter, and he resigned.
So perhaps that's why I
So
was allowed
I
on.
do know that there was in our meeting, the mayor indicated that he wanted to beef up the numbers in the committee because we lost 2 members, one who was
Yeah.
another abutter and
Sure.
and one who resigned. One fellow passed away.
Okay.
So that was how the meeting was called in the beginning. And we made several points during the meeting about the committee makeup and that we could use some assistance getting the number back up where it was supposed to be. The mayor's office wanted to go back to the council and amend the language of our charge, because the language of our charge says we're in charge of the Stage 4 Park.
Right.
Of course, that made everybody in the room bristle who worked for the city. So
Yeah.
there's no other committees in charge of any of their territory. So,
Sure.
but again, we haven't heard anything back from the administration. So there's been no movement on most of the points we made. There was a sense that they would do their best to get to the bottom of things and help us. But
Okay.
again, we haven't had any communication. And that was the message we walked in the room with between the mayor's office and the DPW.
Sure.
We just haven't heard a lot from them, and that basically
Okay.
continues. But I'll send you that email, and then
Okay.
to address the other
Yeah.
the project that David is talking about, the new project proposal. The new
Mhm.
project several years ago was developed by Steve Winslow, who was in the city development department. And he came up with some big extensive plans, hired a designer, and they were going to spend some significant money, which was going to be paid for with a big government grant, federal grant. And they were going to fix up the parking lot, make a presentation area at the end of the parking lot near the cupboard.
Yep, I remember
have a
this.
tiered event going down the hill. The plan was to move the farmer's market over there. They were going to do extensive renovations to the
Mhm.
landscaping in front of the bandstand and move the road that heads down towards Tablet Rock, move it over a bit and put new trees and new landscaping in there. And that was turned down by the city over parking lot income. And part of it, there was a stipulation with the grant that anybody who was charged over there, the park would have to be charged the same as a city resident. So there couldn't be
Okay.
it couldn't be a different scale for fees.
The
Sure.
city had sort of a discriminatory practice of charging out of towners more money than us. And the state
park.
will not allow that if you're gonna deal with them on a basis of, so
And actually, it was a federal grant, I think.
federal grant
Yeah.
maybe, but we
Sure.
are discriminatory with our charges.
So the
Right.
short end of that is that the plans are still floating around out there to make this big park renovation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen those plans.
Oh, good,
Yes.
yeah.
But not, I mean, since, pre 2020, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I kind of,
yeah.
they sort of fizzled out, and I knew there was some reasons why they fizzled out. So
Yeah.
is that the new project proposal?
So that's what we proposed to the mayor, that we'd like to see that project picked up again.
You want
you
the
know-
project picked up.
Pardon me?
You want the project picked up. You want to,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
we'd like to continue to renovate the park.
Yes, but not to those specific plans.
Maybe if they can pay for them. It was a
We were-
pretty,
we
it
were
was a
also-
plan that
David,
passed.
if I could interrupt you,
Go ahead.
we were also talking about, if you remember the plans, it encompassed a number of different areas and items, and we were also talking about the possibility of breaking it up into stages.
Yeah,
So we wouldn't have to do the huge investment nor the, most of the work would have to be done during the fall, spring, and
Right.
possibly summer. And that would be, doing a project of the entire size would be basically closing down the park.
which doesn't make sense for the 400th.
Right.
Right. Does the money still exist for us? Is it still just floating around for these purposes? Or is that part of
No.
the issue? Okay,
No.
okay,
Matter of fact, when we speak about a new project proposal, this is like long-term, 5, 6, 7 years from now. We're fighting right now to come up with the funding for the extension of the Lucy Davis pathway. To
Sure.
finish that, to get up into the visitor center and to
Yep.
renovate the fort area itself. And we'll be
Okay.
reporting on that in a moment.
so yes, I know that path sort of ends there, and anyone who's tried to
Yeah.
take a baby for a walk in a stroller during a nap knows it's absolutely impossible. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
pretty
like,
rugged.
it's
when you get up
bumpy
there.
and gravelly, and I
Yeah.
knew there were some issues there regarding the grade of the path and why
Right.
it needed to be handicapped accessible. It would have to be quite a large project, and if they were going to do it, they'd have to do it to their codes, and that's why it wasn't done with the boulevard renovation. I think that was my understanding of it.
Yeah. yeah.
So that would actually be a great addition to the park to make it
Yeah.
a walkable path to get to all of the
Well,
destinations up
that's
there.
actually the next item in old business on the agenda. We
Okay.
can get you up to speed with that real quick.
Sure, and what was, so the fort area restoration, that's coming up, is that part
That's
of the
that's
new
what we're
project
talking about
proposal?
now, the extension of the pathway and
Sure,
renovation of the fort itself. So
Jamie,
Okay.
did you have your hand up to
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah, I did, and some of that was covered, but I'll just go kind of quickly. You talked about buying the insurance policy, fire the cannon. Do you have some scheduled events to fire this? I mean, and are you waiting for, it sounds like you're waiting for the city's legal to sign off, but do we have scheduled events to fire it?
We have one scheduled event right now, which is going to come up under other business. Other than that, we have two scheduled events, yes, coming up. One would be the Schooner Festival and possibly on June 28th. Any others I have not heard of yet. So there are two currently being planned.
Okay, and is there a desire to have more? I mean, I thought I had heard of more meetings.
There could be, if people requested, if the city decides to do it July 4th, we could certainly do that. I'm going to be in favor of doing as many as they ask, but currently we only have two.
Okay. Well, I think we kick it
So
up.
if you wanted to fire the cannon when some kid hits a home run, we'll try to be there and fire it.
Yeah, no, I had thought in one of the meetings during the summer months, it was brought up maybe to kick off the weekend and fire the cannon Friday.
Yeah, we would like to do that.
you should send a
They
message
call-
out
they
to the
call-
neighborhood first.
yeah, right.
I don't know if we want a cannon.
You do
being
have to
fired.
do that. Yeah, you
We
do.
have the
So,
Landon at
and-
sunset, and that gets the job done for cannons, I think.
Yeah, right.
We would like to do morning and evening colors. We're gonna look into that. Is there anyone else had their hand up on? Jamie, are you through?
Yeah, I'm okay. I was just trying to get a timing of everything. And then when you're talking about that big project, I mean, what's the timing of that? That sounds like it's 2-3 4-year project, especially with the 400. I'm just trying to get a sense of, timing. Things I've learned, tend to take a bit, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
And the last thing, the last meeting we were on, or the meeting we were in person at the bank, it seemed like the Vietnam Memorial positioning in the area was a surprise to the group. And I was just wondering how, maybe I missed the notes, how that came about. I drove by and looked and said, oh, wow, I guess it's done. It's going on.
I agree. That was done within the city administration. We basically didn't know much about that until it was sort of a done deal. But they are working on it. They did not come before us for any recommendations or advisories. They just decided to do it.
And interestingly enough, that was the point in the meeting with the mayor, where we started to get a different tone about, well, what do you mean? Why didn't we come to your committee? No committee controls any of these things in the city. And we said, we beg your pardon, take a look at the language from the city council. And the language is quite clear that we, as a committee right now, from the language of the city council, we're in charge. And, there was a lot of, people sort of staring down at the tabletop, but really, they never came to us, and it sounded like it was a done deal. It was going to happen. And we made our suggestions about where we'd rather see the monument, but we didn't get very far with those folks.
Okay, anyone else? Jamie, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I just had a couple folks just stop me at Little League and just ask me, they knew I was on the committee, and they just asked me what we thought about parking, where people were coming up and just looking if they're gonna just stop on that sidewalk and park, or they're gonna go in the parking lot. And I just didn't know. So I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of happy people. It's great to pay our respects, being former Army. I think it's great, but I just didn't have the answers.
Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't, but neither did we.
Oh,
I think
I don't have a lot of
it's-
answers to a lot of things.
No.
I just,
Okay,
it may be one of the worst places they could put it for the people who want to get to it, to get to the monument itself. I mean, there's no close parking. And if you're rickety on your legs, it's going to be a hike. So it seems like a poor choice, but that's what they've chosen.
My understanding was they didn't want it at Kent Circle, which sort of made sense to put it there because they wanted their own
They
separate
didn't want
entity.
anybody to steal their thunder.
They didn't want
Yeah.
to share the space, which
Right.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, there's not gonna be much green space left on the boulevard. We're gonna just
Yeah.
keep putting all these monuments up.
Yeah. I hear you.
okay. Anyone else with a hand up?
No, we're good.
Don't see anybody? Okay. Old business, Ford area restoration, the current restoration that we hope will start. For those of you, Adrian, we had two applications, or we have two applications before the CPC committee. One was for a detailed plan before we went any further. So we were awarded $80,000 in round numbers for Beta Company to come in and do a detailed plan with grading and the whole 9 yards. That plan was completed by them, and the city has accepted it. But that includes the Lucy Davis pathway, regrading, resurfacing of the whole pathway up to the fort. It includes restoration and landscaping of the entire fort itself area, as well as the walkway to the welcoming center. So we reached the point where we have the plan. So the next step is in our application presently before the CPC committee is the awarding of the contract to do the actual construction. And David and I are going to be making a presentation to the CPC committee on next
June
Tuesday.
7th, I think.
Tuesday, I think, which is they're there to ask us questions regarding that application And the estimate that we have right now is that we're asking the CPC committee to kick in $100,000 and the city to click in with 300,000. The best estimate is that it's a $400,000 estimate, but that estimate is not part of a bid. So where the bids are coming in, if they're in there, I do not know. But that's where we are. Mike Hale will be involved with that. So if we were to get the money, now, I think I left something out. This request was interim funding so that we could get that money rather quickly, rather than wait until like sometime in December before they actually want that cash so you can spend it, so to speak. So if they were to vote that, this money would become available pretty quickly, so they could actually do some construction this construction year, meaning the summer, fall. But none of the, I don't have an answer or an exact feel for whether the city's going to have 300,000 for us or maybe 150,000. So maybe we're going to have to pick and choose part of that program. But it's up to the city to come forward and say, this is the money we will commit. And the CPC has to come forward and say, this is the money that we will commit. So that part is coming up, I think, on Tuesday.
So when you say fort restoration, what does that entail?
You're
I
familiar
got the
with-
grading from the path. And is that?
This is in addition to the grading for the pathway.
Both pathways are going to connect to the fort itself where the four
Okay.
cannons are.
Sure.
So the area where the four cannons are is going to be done over a bit. The mounds are going to be lowered and widened a bit, more accessible. The areas where you walk by the cannons will be wider and more accessible. There'd be some grading, some planting and that sort of thing. Signage,
Okay.
some railings, and all four cannons will then be in place down there when the final restoration of those is complete.
Okay. Are can I see these plans? Do they exist somewhere?
What is that?
Yeah, I can.
You can email me
CC you
those?
the plans, yeah.
Sure.
Yes, there are plans for that. Beta
Okay.
probably submitted 4 or 5 different ideas, and we ended up with one specific plan, which the city has accepted, conservation has accepted. They're ADA
Okay,
compliant.
Sure.
They're the whole 9 yards, but David can get you a copy of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. You and I should probably set up a meeting because I have a lot of this stuff here
Yeah.
that I can make copies of and or just to get you up to speed,
Sure. Okay. So I don't want to really totally derail the meeting, but why
Yeah.
is that fort restoration our priority as opposed to, say, other areas of the park that are really falling kind of to disrepair?
Well, we thought the 2 walkways were certainly in bad.
I totally
repair.
agree with the walkways.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. I mean, the playground has broken equipment. It really could
The
use
playground,
huge.
the
Is that
playground,
Rotary Club?
yes, which I'm
Okay.
part of, and we are actually in the process of working up plans to make an addition to the playground area, the main area, off to the side where the infant swings are,
Yeah.
as well as where the seesaw used to be, but only the base is there now.
Right. I mean, it's really shameful considering what some other neighboring towns have in their,
So
you know.
all of our plan is to remove everything over there that's not
Okay.
inside that form enclosure,
Yeah. All right. I like it.
And-
Good. Okay.
and basically have wheelchair accessibility there. And it's going to be more or less in 2 kind of fingers off of the main area.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's going to be specific to infants to 5-year-olds as opposed to the other area, which is
Which is
for
a little
large,
older,
for
school-age children.
older
Sure.
children.
Okay. Well, that
Yet
answers
you
that
still have
question.
a
Thanks.
view, if you have more than one child, you'll have a view
Yep.
from the infant area to the main area.
All right. I had a feeling that was Rotary's doing. It's just, yeah, it's hard to go up there and see the state it's in, and then, you know, it's nice to know that's getting done. Very good.
Okay, good. There is an item on here for parrot rifle cannon display, as well as another cannon. So the way it stands right now, on the 28th of June, one of the Constitution cannons that's being restored is going to be placed on the boulevard between the tennis courts and the first garden. There's kind of a wide area there where that cannon is going to be replaced, just set for the summer, just on display. And the city has picked a spot where we're going to put it. We hope to put it in place on the 27th. And I believe the I believe the 400th committee is working on some sort of a little dedication, so to speak, on the 28th. So there'll be one cannon on the boulevard down near the tennis courts. There's a pretty large area down there. It's also close to where the Mariners anchor is in that area. And they'll be sitting there on the grass for at least this summer, maybe right through to when they finish the restoration of the park. On that particular day, after the ceremony, which the 400th is doing, I plan on firing the parrot rifle, which will be temporarily put out on the fort in the same area where it was done during the Schooner Festival last year. So that takes care of what the cannon is going to do right now.
Is that the June date you talked about?
28th, yes.
June 28th?
June 28th is when you'll have to watch your city sites or whatever, but I'm sure they're going to get some word out when they finally pick the timing and that sort of thing. But we hope to put it there on the 27th, the ceremony on the 28th. That might be the day we would like to fire at least evening colors, maybe morning colors as well, if we can get, we probably need the administration's approval to do morning colors, since we'll wake up a few people.
Few people. I'm literally looking at that spot from my front window, and I'm really, yes, that's directly across from my house. I live across from the tennis courts. So you're putting a cannon between the tennis courts and between the bocce courts are there, and the anchor that you're going to fire every morning and every night, or just that one day?
No, the cannon we're going to put on display at the fort will not be fired. It cannot be fired. It's renovated, been restored. They'll just be sitting there as a static display.
So the other one will be fired from the fort?
Yeah, and that'll just be put there.
Just on the 28th?
Yes, that'll just be put there during the firing and then removed because it's sort of a temporary location.
Right. Okay.
So you'll be looking at that older cannon from the Constitution.
Yes.
Sitting there in the grass.
Next to the bocce courts. Sure.
Bocce court, yeah. Sort of in line with, there's one light there on the boulevard. Got to be in line with that towards the water.
Okay.
And the cannon will be facing towards the water.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
Put a target on the porch.
You can see, in other words, when we fire the cannon at the fort, you can see it from your front porch.
Yeah.
Yes,
Did you see it during the Schooner race last year?
I did.
You must have heard it.
Yes. Shakes the whole house, cracks in the foundation and all. Yes. No, we get a lot of activity down here for sure.
Okay, so is any hands up? I'm having trouble seeing if anyone's got a hand up. Maybe not.
Barry.
Barry?
Yeah, just again, not on your agenda or whatever, but just I wanted, from what you had said, that David, you do plan on firing the parrot rifle cannon again for the parade of sail for Schooner Festival. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, so what I will do is for the fireworks, I will do as I did last year. I will make sure that we have our rain date schedule so that we would not interfere and not be there on that Sunday morning. So I will, when we make our actual application, I will make sure that it's done so that we will have a rain date of Monday.
okay, thank you, Barry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Let's see,
All right, then you had other business, June 28th firing. You've really kind of talked about, just mentioned that you've already talked about the under other business.
we've already talked about, yeah, we've already talked about the insurance thing. Unless there are any other questions, I think we need a motion to adjourn.
Well, is there any other business?
I have no other business.
Anyone on the committee have other business? Okay, before we adjourn,
We have to, we're supposed to, did we already do a roll call? We did.
yeah, we did that at the beginning. We've heard nothing from the administration about how much longer the Zoom meetings are going to go on. And I've been reading that there is some consideration that in the future, all meetings will be some sort of mixture of live and Zoom, but that means having to go to city locations to hold the meeting and also be able to record it at the same time. So I'm guessing that we'll be meeting Zoom a couple more times, on a monthly basis before the city's ready to have live meetings again. So the normal meeting time, Adrian, for the committee is the first Thursday of the month. And it's usually at 6 o'clock at night. And we found that when we changed that, first of all, does that generally work for you?
I can make it work. Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
all right. When we tried to change one not too long ago, it raised havoc with a lot of the folks on the committee.
I am traveling the week of July 4th, however, so the 7th is the first Thursday because so that's, I won't be able to
Okay,
attend
all
that
right.
one.
Yeah, and we may not have a July meeting just because that's so close
Sure.
to the. So please, everybody look for an email about the, notification of the next meeting. Adrian and I will get together to make sure you get up to speed with material.
Thank you.
Also,
Thanks.
Jamie, you may be interested in having some of the archival stuff that we have here in the files that I can make copies of. So maybe we could have a meeting with both you and Adrian up here someday just to put it all together.
Yeah, let me know when you guys come up with a date, throw a couple and I'll
Okay.
happily join.
Yeah. Okay.
But there is one other item that I did forget on the other business.
Other business.
I had asked Atlantic Power Wash, Sean Coakley, he had done some in-kind donations of time and material, pressure washed the Welcoming Center 2 years ago. And this year I asked him if he would like to make another donation, and he did. And he has pressure washed all the picnic tables around the Welcoming Center and down in the tables in that area. I'm not sure if today or so he got to the tables that are down along Cressy's Beach, but all of the picnic tables up on the upper part of the park have been washed. They really look nice. They're nice and clean. So thank you to Atlantic Power and Sean Coakley for doing that for us. And the other thing I think everybody should recognize is with this Zoom stuff and some of the meetings going on and keeping track of some of this stuff and doing the computer logins and all that David does. He does more work than I do, and we all should recognize the fact that this isn't my show, so to speak. David is invaluable in the business that he does. So I hope you all appreciate what he does.
Thank you.
So Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion that we
Jamie?
adjourn.
Yeah,
Yes.
Seconded?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
thank you.
The meeting has been adjourned. Thank you all very, very much.
Go Celtics.
Continue to see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian.
I'll look for an email, David. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Should be roll call just for information on Zoom.
Do you have to do the roll call at the end too?
Yes, just because, just by Zoom regulations, it's stupid, but it is what it is.
Getting it in? Okay,
Wait a minute, wait a
give
minute.
us a second.
I wish we wouldn't have to do all this.
Yeah, it takes a sec. Benjamin down. It's like present. That's all.
Okay, if we're supposed to do that, we will do David Benjamin,
Present.
David Dow, present, Craig Anderson, no, Steve Katie, yes,
Present.
Jamie Marshall, yes,
Here.
Sean Nolan, no, Adrian Sweet, yes. Did I miss anybody?
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, somehow, I can't just leave it because Mark said